Saul's on a cruise, and you know what that means. We're partying with me this time. Welcome on into another edition of McKale Madness, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by our friends over at Circle K. And no, that is not the voice of one Saul Bookman. And no, we are not usually live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. But today we are, because Saul didn't call me out. He called me up. He's going on a cruise and said, yo, can you co-host this one with Corey? And I said, I would be honored to chop it up about hoops with our guy Corey Williams. But yeah, that's why Saul's not on tonight's pod. He's traveling the world, jet setting, doing what he does best. Corey, how we doing though?
I'm doing good, man. Glad to be here with you. Looking forward to a great show. We always get you in at some point during our shows anyway, so it'll be good for you to come out, speak for yourself tonight, say what you want to say without me and Saul trying to put words in your mouth. And shout out to Saul. He ditched us for his wife, but, that's the G code. Happy wife, happy life. So he's on vacation with the missus. I ain't even mad. You got to do
100%. Got to do what you got to do, right? Got to do what you got to do. March Madness is coming up, so it's going to be a lot of Saul time. So you got to get it in where it can fit in, and I get that. I totally get that. Yeah. But, Corey, I would be like, yeah, I'm happy to get some takes off. But as we were talking about pre-show, I got my own podcast. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, people have heard enough of my takes. So tonight I'm gonna impart my opinion, but tonight is about picking Corey's brains on the Arizona Wildcats. But the topic I think right now is the wins against Houston, Baylor, and BYU without Koa Peat. And we can go ahead and start there because that's not really, we haven't had time to break this down with Saul since our last pod. But specifically against Houston, we had some huge performances on the road. You had me cut a clip yesterday where we talked about Del Orso's ability to get buckets in different ways, because we know the Houston staff is going to take away what he's best at: open threes, catch and shoot threes, off of curl screens, stuff like that. And he, sure enough, got out and got a bunch of buckets in a variety of ways, even played great defense. We take a look at his stats here. ADO, Delhi versus Houston on the road, 22 points, 3 rebounds. The most important number, in my opinion, 4 steals for the guy that was once legitimately a liability on that end last year in the Big 12. He was not ready, and it speaks to his improvement, truly. 34 minutes and 8 for 14 from the field. What did you see against Houston for Arizona, but specifically our guy Delhi, Corey?
Well, there's a couple of things that jumped out at me, but let's just say this off the rip. If I'm sitting on the couch and somebody hands me an index card and they say, hey, Corey, this is going to be Delhi's line for the game against Houston, I'm going to get up, put on my shoes, go get something to eat, or maybe go take a nap. I'm not even going to watch the game because I know it's an Arizona win. If you know Delhi's going to do that against Houston, there's no way Arizona loses that game. So the way that he was scoring was definitely, they were running him off the 3-point line, but he stayed aggressive. He lived off twos. Twos count as well. Like, yeah, I'm a 3-point shooter, but he was going to the rack. It's interesting because the opportunity presented itself for him to get additional shots, and he didn't just put those additional shots in the 3-point category. He just took additional shots all over the court. He showed his well-rounded game. What I was most impressed with was we knew he was going to have to score a different way. We knew that. Everybody's not going to stand around and watch Delhi shoot. But it's interesting to me that they won 24 straight games before they lost?
23-0 before they lost to Kansas.
Before they lost. They won 23 games with Delhi playing his role, playing his position, right? Just doing what they asked him to do. And then we have a situation where Koa goes down and the director walks into the trailer and goes up to Delhi and says, hey, Delhi, get rid of that script. Here's the new script. Here's what you got to do. And he was like, bet. And he went out there and did something different. He did what was needed. That shows you not only how talented he is, but it shows you how talented this team is. Because now you got to wonder, What else can Toby do that he doesn't always do? What else can Reeves do that he don't always do? What else can Kharchenkov do that he don't always do? So we talk about Arizona only having 8 dudes. We have 8 dudes, and they're all probably doing 60 to 70% of what they can do because that's all they need to do. And they won 23 straight games, never lost to anybody. And we hadn't seen, other than Koa Peat's 30-piece against Florida, we really didn't see a individual just dominant performance from any of them. We just saw wins after wins after wins after wins. And now when Deli gets reassigned and they write a new script for his character, he jumps up on stage and acts a damn fool. I was so pleased. I couldn't even believe it. But most importantly, the toughness. Tobe gave us all the fouls he could give us. He fouled out. Krivas didn't shy away from blocking shots. He was getting clean blocks, and he was getting called on some nonsense when he was blocked, but he stayed rim protecting. JB down the stretch, what did he do? He did his thing. Braden Burries don't even look like this. I think if you take his picture right now and put it next to a picture from 3 months ago, it probably don't even look like the same person because he's not the same person.
Braden Burries is one of those dudes, Corey, not to cut you off.
Yeah.
But we've all like taken a spring break or a winter break and either lost, gained weight, got tan, got pale, whatever, came home and your people are like, who are you? And what have you done with the person that left the house when I sent you away?
He knows how to get his shots off and he knows he's not coming out the game. That when you have that hook, we call it the hook when you get hooked out the game. When you have that hook, over your head, it does seep into your game. But when you know there's no hook, like, not to get on a tangent, but I played the best basketball of my life in Belgium and nobody ever saw it. I'm dropping 35 and 16. I'm doing it because I'm the American. I'm never coming off the court. I can shoot any shot I want. And it's money on the line. My livelihood was on the line. So when you don't have to worry about coming out the game, you can truly pour yourself into the game. And I think that's what Burries is doing. He's not concerned with mistakes anymore. He knows what they are. He's made them. He's concerned with doing whatever the team needs. So the Houston game, did I have that on my bingo card? I think I told Saul we win by 2 on a last-second play. What did we squeak out, a 4-point win?
I think so. Corey, if you put our answers together, we might have the exact answer because on the pregame show, I said Arizona would score 73 points and win by 1, and they scored 73 points and won by however many it was against Houston. So put our answers together, and you had the script,
And my concern was Houston was going to try to speed us up. And you got to give Tommy Lloyd a lot of credit because if you go back and you watch the opening 10 minutes of that game, we went totally away from the dribble handoff. We know you guys are amped up and you're ready to jump our ball screens and you're ready to jump our dribble handoffs. We ain't going to do none. Because while you're full of energy, why would we give you trapping opportunities? The Arizona offense looked decidedly different in the open 10 minutes. Let's just play motion, pass, cut. And I said, oh, wow. He's not even giving Kelvin Sampson a chance to trap our guys. He's not even giving us, they're not giving them the opportunity to force those critical Houston turnovers that they're used to. And we made it a ground and pound half-court game. We took care of the ball. And Houston, we learned they're not much for a street fight. If it's going to be a ground and pound, low-scoring affair, Houston wants them transition threes, them breakout dunks. They want to put about 14 to 20 points on the board that come from ripping and running, and we didn't let them do that. And the other thing I think is they're sensational freshmen. During their loss, their little skid, I think they went on a 2-game loss skid, a 2 or 3 game. No, 2.
I think it was 3 in a row. It was 3 in a row.
It was 3 in a row.
I think it was, what was it, Kansas, Iowa State, and then Arizona? Or it was Texas Tech, Iowa State, Arizona, something like that.
They dropped 3. So the one thing you learn is that the freshman ain't enough. He's not. If you bother him and you hold him under 20, you're probably going to beat Houston. They were against us. They were searching for a number 2, and nobody wanted to smoke. He was Batman without a Robin, where we had 4 Batmans, and that's the way I saw that Houston game.
It's interesting to me that you say that Houston wasn't not really there for a dogfight. I almost feel like this is a case where you got an MMA champion. They're always ready for a dogfight, but there's always a younger, tougher guy to come up and prove that you ain't fought me yet. And now Arizona, they've played Houston in the past, but not this year. And it felt like when I was watching the game, you bring up the traps on the other end, go to the other side of the court. Because as soon as I saw Arizona trapping Houston the way Houston traps other teams, I said, hold on. We might have something today, because if they can bring this for 40 minutes, Houston's never really experienced that. Not against this team.
And it takes a certain amount of confidence to say, you know what? We're going to press you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the equivalent of you in the alley of coming out of a nightclub or a bar and somebody jumps you in the alley and pulls out a gun and says, stick him up. And you snatch the gun from him. You say, no, you stick him up. And you rob him. That's really what we did. We beat Houston with their own style. But it's crazy. I think about this Arizona team when they're at full strength, when they got their 8-man rotation and everybody's healthy. I'm gonna throw a name out there. Google it if you don't know it. To our viewers, Hoist Gracie. You familiar with him?
Oh, of course, yes.
That's how I think this Arizona team is. They're not flashy. They're not. They grapple. I remember watching the tough man competitions, and he'd step in the ring with these big, huge guys, and then something would happen, and all of a sudden they'd be tapping out. And he had that technique, that swarming, wear you down. Eventually, I'm going to put you in the submission hold and you're going to tap out. Either I'm going to choke you out, I'm going to dislocate your elbow. But when you get on the ground with the Gracies, they're grapplers. They love it in close. They don't mind taking their time. They don't care how long the match lasts, because they're trying to get to that critical point where you give up. And we've seen that with this Arizona team. I say Arizona's like being single. It's all good till you get in the 30s. It ain't fun in your 30s. And when you get into that 30th minute of the game with Arizona, you don't have it. Toby Awaka's too strong. You tired of Krivas getting rebounds. Jaden Bradley's just warming up. He's like, oh, what's the score? Okay, I think I'll start playing now. When you get into your 30s with Arizona, most teams have problems. And I was surprised we were able to do that to Houston. I really was. Had great strategy. Delhi was huge. Ivan was huge. Krivas and Toby gave us everything they had. I mean, you're rotating two bigs as big men in a rotation spot where normally you got 120 minutes to spread out over, you got 3 guys to spread 80 minutes in the post over, and you spread it over 2 guys pretty much. So even when we went small, it didn't affect us on the glass. So I got to tell people, like, y'all realize this Arizona team won at Houston, and Houston ain't lost a game at home since Christ was a child. And they went in there with 6 people. They went into Houston with 6 people and beat them on their own court. And I'm going to be real with you, Kev. I got depressed. And the reason I got depressed, and I think I texted you and Saul, I said, we have the best team in the country. I'm not even uncertain about it. Arizona has the best team in the country. What other team could lose a starter and win at Houston?
Not just a starter, though. Like, you're losing like offensive hub. Like, this is like, to a lesser extent, right? Because they're not nearly as deep. But we're talking about a player on the level of, like, I know people are gonna hate this, but you get my point. Like, Dybantsa, top, and like hubs. Like, you run your offense if you don't have this person. And in my opinion, it's part of the reason why you beat Houston and BYU and Baylor without him, but you lose to Tech because you lost them halfway through. And now you're adjusting on the fly. Right. But throwing 3-0 when you've had time to game plan, prep, and know what your role is.
It's amazing. Like, and the worst part about it, and our fans will know what I'm about to say, is we won a national championship. We have already proven against everyone. The only game out there to play is the Michigan game or maybe Duke. But against everybody else in the SEC, we've already proven we are the elite team in the country. You can make a case. Well, you haven't played Michigan yet, and you haven't played Duke. Okay, fine. Hopefully we all get to the Final Four and we can settle that. But the insane thing about this is knowing 29 games into the season that you are the most complete, the most dangerous, the strongest team in the country, but you just got to win 6 in a row. You got to win these 6 that the fans and everybody else wants. That's so frustrating because it almost diminishes everything they've done.
Yes.
It's like, damn, you won and you've proven you're the best. No, hold on, time out. Now there's this tournament. Go play this tournament and do it again. That's how it feels. It's like you've had the hellified February that'll end up Saturday and Monday with another top 5 matchups. You play Saturday or top 10 matchups or whatever. I don't know what Kansas is ranked, but we'll play Kansas and then we play Iowa State on Monday. So you got 2 more legitimate teams that could end up in the Final Four on your schedule. And if you slay those giants at home, I'm sorry, your head's already bumping up against the ceiling. You're not going to go up anymore in the rankings. So you have to handle your business. You're not going to get any credit for it. And the only thing left is, strong showing at the tournament. And you got to put together 6 wins that matter when it matters. It's like literally a Rocky movie in that last round. You know what I mean? Like, you guys go, 31-2 or whatever. Y'all, that's nice. Okay, do it again. But that's for everybody. I mean, it's for Michigan, it's for Duke, it's for everybody that's had an outstanding season. There are programs where the postseason matters. So I know in my heart, Arizona's the best team in the country. They've proven it on multiple occasions already. And I'm sitting there thinking, damn, we got to prove it one more time or this is all for naught. These tremendous wins on the road, these great team, like you mentioned, chemistries, guys stepping in, stepping up. Definitely was impressed with the Houston game. I wanted us to win. I'm never going to say Arizona's not going to win a game. So publicly, I said, hey, Arizona by 2 at the buzzer. That's how I felt. But tough, gutsy win. Gutsy win from some kids.
With the prediction, it's funny because that's kind of where I was at. I was like, the only time I predict Arizona to lose, especially this year's team, is if there's a matchup where I think they're genuinely not the better team.
Right.
Because I feel like, and this is what I'm getting at to tie it back into what you were saying about, like, there's no suspense anymore. I know we're the best, right? Like, I think Justin Spears, I was on his show this morning, and he asked me a question that was asked to him. And I'll throw it to you, but I think we already know your answer. It was the Houston game. He asked me, when was the moment that you knew this team was different, that you knew this team was for real? And I said, I can't give you one moment because I haven't thought about it like that. But I think there's been 3 levels of readiness that I think they've proven. I think night 1 is level 1. You come out defending national champions, handle them, Koa Peat 30 ball, putting people on notice. And all of a sudden my ears are perked up. I'm like, okay, this team is something different. I don't know how different, but they're clearly a little bit different to have a freshman drop 30 and beat the defending national champions on a neutral site in night 1. Tier 2, I felt like was after the Alabama win because you beat Alabama, Auburn, Connecticut, UCLA, and Florida to that point. Some non-con games sprinkled in there, but those are the main hitters. And I feel like of those 5 or so teams, you faced at that point every style that you're probably going to have to face to win a national title. So now I'm feeling like, okay, 3-point shooting is not going to beat Arizona. Toughness is not going to beat Arizona. Defense is not going to beat, like, you have to combine them. Okay, I'm understanding this now. And then you lose Koa Peat. And then you go on that 3-0 stretch. And after that Houston game, that was when I was like, okay, we are genuinely the best team in the country. And now it's about staying healthy, staying locked in, and making sure that you can finish the season the way you want to finish the season. But yeah, I think that was a very good way of putting it. You mentioned Ivan Kharchenkov's performance in that Houston game. I wanted to give him a little bit of a shout out here because he stepped up. 16 points, 9 rebounds. I think he might have led the team against Houston. I might be wrong. But 3 assists, 39 minutes played, absolutely exhausting performance on 5 for 11. We've talked about Ivan all season, how great he's been. But one thing I wanted to ask you in particular, as a former player yourself, like, what sticks out to me about Ivan is his decisiveness. Like, when Koa Peat's been out, he's catching ball, either driving, passing ball. Like, he's making a choice in that, like, I think I've seen it like Steph Curry talk about like 0.5 decisions, like the decisions you make in a half a second out there. He has incredible 0.5 decisions.
Right.
And like, can you talk to me about his impact on this team over this last 3 games?
You talking about Ivan?
Yeah.
So the thing about Ivan is Ivan has an eye for basketball. He's a European, so he views the game in terms of opportunities. Where's my opportunity? I just received the ball on the skip pass. The defender's closing out. I can go right or left. This is an opportunity. I'm looking to pass. I swing it through. First step, get him on my shoulder. It's an opportunity. He understands situations that are advantageous to him. He takes them when he sees them. Now, not only getting into this European versus American thing, but typically the American player, east, west, inside, they're trying to create their opportunity. Ivan is searching and looking for it. It's a huge different way to play basketball. And I played both ways. I played in high school and college here. Then I played 12 years in Europe. And there are points in the game where they just give the ball to the American and be like, yo, bro, we got nothing, do something. And then you do your thing. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, cut, backdoor, layup, post, dribble, jump, hook. My coach made basketball so easy for me. Corey, if they double team, kick it here, and you just the game just opens up and it becomes easy. And that's the level the peak NBA guys get to. The Lukas, the Kyries, Anthony Edwards is there now. Giannis is there where they see everything. Bron has been there for 15 years in his mind where he just sees everything. Ivan reminds me of that because he's not going to blow by you and go off one leg and dunk it over the big man. But he will pump fake, dribble, floater. He will crab dribble, spin, layup. He will, in transition, get it on the wing, one dribble, gather it, and get to the rim. He knows the situations in which he has an advantage. Very rarely does he get his shot blocked. Very rarely does he turn it over from trying to do too much. He's just out there like a shark swimming, waiting for you to fall asleep, waiting for you to give him a lane or an angle because he's strong as an ox. So once he gets by you, you just riding his hip and it's going to be a foul. He knows how to get to the free throw line. He's not afraid of contact. And it's like, oh, Arizona can't shoot the three. Well, Ivan can when he's just chilling on the offside and Krivas swings it to him. Ivan can when JB dribbles down the lane, draws three and swings it over to him. And he drilled shots in the last two games. So his game is so cerebral, but it's the perfect balance of a thinking man's game with a young, physical, strong player. And he's always successful because he doesn't force anything. Because that's not really his game. I mean, think about it. When have you seen him dribble the ball 6-7 times in a row trying to get something off? He don't play like that.
No,
so
yeah.
A good player, but more importantly, a smart player that fits into the system.
Yeah, 100%. And he was also big in this Baylor game. But there is, I mean, I do want to talk about this Baylor game.
Yeah,
right? Because I think that beating them with ADO on, I'll say 1.5 ankles, Ivan Kharchenkov probably exhausted. Braden Burries finally looking healthy again, but still recovering from what is reportedly bronchitis, right? Mm-hmm. So that Baylor game to me was like the second half of that Houston game, not like the actual half, but I'm saying it was like the part 2 of the Houston game where you think the movie's over and then there's another title screen and you got to go all in again and do that dance all over again. Tommy Lloyd described it as a hang in there kind of game. And I totally agree, right? It just felt like if you can get to the end of the game and play a full 40 against Baylor and play your game, you're going to win. But what did you see against Baylor for the Wildcats?
I saw adrenaline getting Baylor to halftime, up 5 or 7. I think it was up 7. The last shot didn't count, I can't remember. Was it a shot at the buzzer?
Yeah, it didn't count.
Didn't count. So they had a 5-point lead or a 7-point lead. I can't remember.
I'll check.
So Baylor's up at half, and I'm thinking, okay, they're never, that's 2 or 3 possessions. Arizona closed that gap in the opening 4 minutes and took the lead within 4.5 minutes. They went from down 7 to up 1, like in 15, 20 to go. Arizona had erased the lead. And like I told you, you're in your 20s. We're in the 25th minute of the game. You're still young. You still got some pep in your step. But then when you get to your 30s, oh, my back started hurting, my knees. I can't drop it low like I used to.
Sciatica like LeBron.
Yeah, when you get in your 30s against Arizona, they're going to wear you down. They are father time.
7-point lead at the half, by the way.
7-point lead at the half.
Erased in 5 minutes, to your point.
Yeah, they erased it in 5 minutes, and then I knew Arizona was back on solid ground. I was like, oh, you're not going to play Arizona +7 over the final 15 minutes of this game. It's just not going to happen. You've made all the emotional hyped up baskets you're going to make. Now it's time to get down and dirty. It's like 2 boxers. We've jabbed each other for 2 or 3 rounds. And now it's, we're even on points, but there's 2 or 3 rounds to go. And we're going to find out who has the best technique. And Arizona just ground and pound, putbacks. There was one particular play where Krivas came down, they fronted him. We moved the ball once, twice. We hit him on the high-low, drop step dunk. There's nothing Baylor could have done about that. We just saw what we wanted to get to, And then all 4 players worked to get to that lob for Krivas so he could get the dunk. Nobody else was thinking about shooting the ball. They were like, oh, mouse in the house. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. You can't beat a team that's searching for the easiest bucket. You can beat a team where one player is going for self. You can beat a team that just don't have no continuity. You can beat a team that has 2 or 3 guys that are just playing however they want to play, but you can never beat a team that's always looking for the best shot. Those teams are hard because you know what that means? That means all 5 players got to play defense for the whole 30 seconds. And I can tell you right now, in college basketball, there ain't a coach in the country, maybe 2 or 3 coaches, Izzo, Tommy, Duke, Michigan might maybe, where all 5 guys are willing to sit down and move their feet for 30 straight seconds. There's only a handful of teams where that happens. Houston,
especially today.
Oh yeah,
like NIL era.
They're not committing to a 30-second defensive
check cleared, coach. I'm good.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a team that always is looking for the best shot, not the best shot for them, but the best shot for us, which is the key operative word, it's hard. Because Arizona will swing the ball to get it to the mismatch. They'll put the ball at the high post so Toby can drop it to Krivas. Krivas will get it on the block to draw the double team for the Delhi 3. Arizona is completely comfortable letting the ball go to each other. And you got to credit Tommy Lloyd for that.
100%. Now, in that Baylor game, there was a specific performance that I put out on Twitter as a y'all must have forgot kind of performance. Jaden, y'all must have forgot. Put some respect on my name, please. Bradley. He went off in this game against Baylor. Corey, he had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 35 minutes played, 8 for 17 from the field. And get this, his 5 for 8 is a new career high for one Jaden Bradley and 3-pointers made in a game. He was absolutely going off. We said it on our post game. It felt like Jaden Bradley got you to the end, and then Braden Burries surprisingly was the one to close it, not Jaden Bradley. What did you see from a recently much maligned? And I'll put my hand up. I criticized Jaden Bradley, but only because he's your senior point guard, and you cannot fall asleep on Donovan Atwell in a pivotal moment against Texas Tech. That's not acceptable. He would tell me that himself. Same thing with these like not getting across half court with 10 seconds or like dribbling it off his foot. That's not Jaden Bradley.
No.
But much maligned for no real reason on social media was Jaden Bradley for 2 games, pretty much, where he did not bring his full 100% to the table. And Corey, this is speculation.
Yeah.
Maybe so duck your ESPN head off. But I'll say this, like in a locker room with a ton of sick folk, you think Jaden Bradley's the only dude that's fully healthy? I would doubt it. Right? So like there's a multitude of reasons why Jaden Bradley might have not played well against like Kansas and some of these other teams. But he's back now, and I think we can all rest, right, Corey?
Yeah, he never left. See, this is complaining about the scratch on the Lamborghini. That's what Arizona fans. You see what I'm saying?
Break it down, Pastor Corey.
They've been eating filet mignon for so long. They complaining about the gravy. They complaining about the potatoes. They complaining about the champagne. And it's like, y'all realize 20 while you're complaining, they're 23-0. They win all the time. If Jaden Bradley was a car that had miles on him, he had 35 minutes against a great Baylor team. He made 5 of 8 threes. He's been logging these kind of minutes all game. So, of course, the only reason his mistakes stand out is because he has so few of them.
And the expectations are here.
Yeah, you notice when, oh, man, JB fell asleep on that one. He hardly ever does that. Oh, man, JB had a 10-second turnover. I don't know that he had another one all season.
I don't know he's ever had that in his career.
So the first time it happens in the man's career, everybody loses their mind as if he's doing it all the time. And I'm like, I get it. He's created an expectation that's so high that anything underneath it literally stands out. And every coach in the country would stab somebody in the neck to have Jaden Bradley as their point guard. So you're just like, what are we talking about, people? Yes, you want to see perfection. Here's the other problem. Fans, short for fanatics, they like style points. They get home early. they get something to eat, they sit down in front of the couch, they grab their remote, and they turn on ESPN, and they want to be entertained. Sometimes it ain't entertaining to watch Koa and Tobe draw fouls and eventually put the team in the bonus, and Arizona wins going away at the free throw line. Sometimes it ain't entertaining to watch Jaden Bradley get down the lane for layups, and you want to see the threes and the dunks, and you want to see the game played in a specific way. And when you see mistakes, it ruins your entertainment. But a coach knows if Jaden Bradley's going to give me 27 great things and 3 bad things over 35 minutes, I'll take that all day long. So you got to see the forest in the trees, or see the trees through the forest, however they say it. But I think his mistakes stand out because he's played so good for so long. I've done games this season where point guards are the reason their team loses. Their inability to defend, the inability to recognize time and score, poor shot selection, poor execution, no leadership skills, team falling apart, coach doesn't trust him in big moments, inability to read who's open and who's not. There's lots of games where the point guard is the reason you lost. But, you know, it takes a more developed eye to see those kind of games. But Arizona fans have been eating filet mignon all season. Jaden Bradley is probably, in my opinion, the best point guard in the country because he plays defense too. How many times has he picked somebody's pocket for a layup? How many times has he shot a passing lane for a dunk? He does it all the time.
Corey, you'll appreciate this for sure, because this is something that I learned this from like a Chris Paul podcast appearance one time that he did, and I listened to it, and he talked about stealing possessions, right? And thinking 3 possessions ahead, right? And I think Jaden Bradley has become very good at that. And I think when you look at like winning on the margins, which is how you got to win 6 in a row in March because the margins are this small, he is the guy that when the opposing point guard brings the ball up to half court lazily, because he knows as soon as I cross this line, Scott Drew's going to call timeout, and then we're going to go talk. And he's not even thinking about Jaden Bradley sitting there in a stance, waiting for him to cross and then maybe shoot in and get a steal. It never happens. But if he's lazy to call that timeout, it will be a steal. And I think like that's the thing, like to your point, like Jaden Bradley is doing all these small things that like you really don't notice unless you're paying attention to it, right?
You don't notice, and I'm not even trying to like really be like glazing him or nothing, but it's just the truth, man. Like Jaden Bradley, Tommy coaches him. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
If you watch the game, Tommy don't even say nothing to him. See, there's a difference between, hey man, do what I say. That's most coaches. We have a huddle. I say some stuff. Y'all go do it. Every once in a while, player sticks around long enough or is so skilled or has a relationship with a coach where it's not do what I say, it's do what you see. When a coach lets a player do what they see, that's the ultimate sign of a connection between the coach and that player and a trust between the coach and that player. JB doesn't really look to Tommy to be told what to do. They have little discussions, timeouts, walking on and off the court, but for the most part, the ball's in his hands. Let's get it to Koa. Let's get it to Delhi. Let's get it to Ivan. Let me take one here and there. That is a level of basketball that most college players never get to, where the coach lets them run the offense based on what they see and what they believe.
As Owen says in the chat, when Tommy and Bradley are talking during the game, it's a conversation, it's a collaboration, it's not an instruction, unless he forgets to bring the ball up before 10 seconds. But Jaden Bradley has been amazing all his career at Arizona. Even at Alabama, he was impactful. Before Alabama, he was a high-level recruit at IMG. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not immune to being on the other side of it, but maybe take into account the totality of what he contributes before you're like, nah, this guy's cooked. It's washed. It's over.
He has to make big buckets when needed. Check. He has to lead the most talented roster in college basketball and make sure everybody eats. Check. No one follows a player that doesn't play defense. If your best player doesn't play defense, you're not going to have a good team. He defends. Check. Tommy needs him to do all those things and stay out of foul trouble. Check. Come on, people. What are we talking about? How much he's not a inside out crossover pull up, Iverson type point guard. He's not a wizard with the handle, dribble, 80 million miles an hour. That's not his game. He's a straight up winner. He's like Kawhi Leonard. He has the same expression at jump ball that he does with 30 seconds to go. You can't tell what the score is looking at his face because he's a killer. He's in the moment. What do I got to do to win? What's the next play? What's the next read? What's the situation? When the game's over and Arizona's winning and now the confetti, he puts on the headset, he talks to the post-game interview, then he smiles when he's around his teammates. But when he's on the court, I don't even know. I've never seen him. I know he's never been scared. I've never even seen him frustrated. He's probably, did the my bad a few times because he was disappointed in himself, but that's because he's not playing the game the way he wants to play it. It's never because of what somebody else did. He was at UConn dropping them off in crunch time. He was at Florida where Koa was putting in the work. Auburn, Alabama, UCLA closing them out. He was at Houston. He's been at Baylor. The environment doesn't bother him. He's focused on the win. And I love the fact that he's got that Kawhi Leonard face all the time because that's leadership. Even if you got the butterflies and you're nervous and that's going on the inside, you can't let your dog see that. So they're looking at you like, well, JB's cool. They have a little 7-0 run. Tommy called a timeout. JB's cool. Okay, so I'm cool too. And then you know what that leads to, Kev? Braden Burries dropping a 3 from the top of the key with a minute to go at Baylor.
You stole the words out of my mouth, Corey, because the next thing I was going to prompt you to tell us about was who do you think is giving Braden Burries the confidence to do what he's doing? Now, obviously, Braden Burries is putting in his own work. He's his own player. He makes his own path, right? He does his own work. But it sure is a nice luxury to have a leader like Jaden Bradley teaching you the ropes, who's been in every situation outside of like a national championship context.
Right. So everybody understands the concept that the mind controls the body. Everybody understands that. So let's apply that to basketball. When you're taking the court, and I can speak from experience because I had 4 years at Arizona where we had multiple NBA players on every team I was on.
Thank you, Luke.
When you play with pros, you begin to think you're one too because they treat you like one. Hey, Corey, when I penetrate and swing it, you stand over there and knock down the 3. That's a lottery pick telling you, hey, man, I got confidence in you and you're part of our success. So in your mind, I'm wearing the same jersey as him. He's trusting me. I may not be on his level right now, but he's telling me I'm his caliber. So when these two guys are sharing the backcourt night after night after night, JB's getting loose. Yo, young fella, when you got him, man, just take his ass. That's Jaden Bradley telling you, freshman, I don't care if you just got here 3 months ago. Take his ass. I don't care if this is Houston. I don't care who this is. You're my guy. You're with me. And then they start thinking, yeah, I am. Yeah, you know what? Give me the rock. And then there you see Jet on 3. That's that confidence that comes from one playing alongside a seasoned guard who obviously is your friend and wants to see you succeed and wants to get the best out of you, not because it benefits him, because, yeah, Arizona winning a national championship makes everybody's career better. But there's no doubt in my mind, I don't know that Burries' development could have taken place with a lot of other point guards at other schools. I just don't know that it could because, let's be real, he's probably the best scorer on the team. It's easy for him. But he needed to be shown how to do it because he was in no man's land the opening six games of the season.
No, I'm with you, Corey. And I think like in terms of, what Owen said in the chat there about Jaden Bradley also coaching Braden Burries to run the point, not much of a drop off there anymore. We talk about the Baylor game and it feels like Braden Burries was the closer in that game, whether it was the dunk or the clutch 3 or like he was getting it from all 3 levels, mid-range, in the paint, outside the perimeter. Like he was really doing it all. And not only that, but I remember you and Saul and me and Damon as well, but really anybody that was watching Arizona basketball early on in the year was talking about, man, this Braden Burries is clearly talented offensively, but if he can figure out the defensive side of things, you can really keep him out there and see what he can really do. Because night 1 against Florida, he's going to run into screens and get knocked over and fouling. And the player he's become on the defensive end, I think you also should probably thank Jaden Bradley for a little bit as well.
Well, you should, but here's who I really. It's kind of crazy because I was thinking about this the other day. I made a comment early on in one of the pods. How long is Tommy going to be giving Burries these minutes and getting no productivity? Because he's giving Delly 20 minutes a game, and Delly's giving him 12 points and 6 rebounds. And I told Saul at some point they may, and Saul was like, no, you can't send Burries to the
I remember this conversation. Me and Saul called you crazy.
I said, bro, Tommy's job is to be a mathematician. If I'm getting 12 and 6 from 20 minutes and 35 minutes is getting me 5 points, I need to invert and increase productivity. That's his job. That's why he gets paid the big bucks. Delly waiting in the wings and being a role player, getting what he could give you in 20, 25 minutes, allowed Burries to stay out there and get the reps he needed so his offense and defense could eventually show up. Tommy didn't flip the switch because there were several games where Delly was more productive than Burries, but we knew Burries was more talented. So you got to play with fire and you got to, hold on one hand the other until Burries arrived. And when he hit that shot at Baylor, I texted you, I was like, oh, he's here. He's here because he's like, hey, man, I can be one of the 5 fingers, but when we make the fist, I want to be the hammer. I'm comfortable being the hammer. JB, some nights it's you, but let me get some of that. Let me have some of that. Here you go, Rook. Go ahead and close them out. Bro, that kind of confidence, that feel good, the dunk, the 3, like there's nothing he hasn't seen yet in college basketball. I think he's seen it all. He's seen the shooting slumps. He's seen the defenses. He's seen zone. He's seen man-to-man. He's seen Houston swarming defense at Houston. He's seen Baylor trying to salvage their season and knock off a top-ranked team with all their adrenaline. He's seen a gut-wrenching loss at Kansas where they struggled down the road. He's seen a home loss in an overtime thriller to Texas Tech when one of their best players was down. He's seen it all, and he still took that shot at Baylor. And everybody's got to love that because we have to be honest. We don't know how Arizona's going to win over the final 5 minutes of the game because we've seen it like 25 different ways. So shout out to him. Big shot. I think you're dead on. His development has been insane. You're cramming like 4 years of development into one college season. So I'm just amazed by it all.
Yeah, no, and honestly, not to do a shameless plug, but if you are not a diehard already, become a diehard because I have taken it upon myself, Corey, to do a little bit extra work. And you know what it is? It's NBA draft season. And no, this is not an NBA type podcast, but some of these Arizona Wildcats will be in the NBA. And if you want to see my big board for the upcoming NBA draft, I'm going to try to drop that Sunday. But whenever I do drop it in early, whether it's early next week or sometime this weekend, it will be for diehards only and members only. And right now, in our description, we have a sale. You can get 1 year of diehard membership for just $36, and you get a free t-shirt. And plus, the PHNX Cardinals boys are out at the Combine right now in Indianapolis, getting all the best coverage for you, the listeners of our regular everyday shows, but also, more importantly, our diehards. Y'all pay money, good money for this content, and the Cardinals do a great job. They're the leader in Cardinals content, and David and I are trying to be the leader in Arizona Wildcats content. Sorry, McKale Madness. But hey, either way, become a diehard. Check out my big board. Check out all of our great diehard-only content. And yeah, subscribe today. Also, on that note, we did have a new member. Shout out to you, Dog Squad AZ, for becoming a member. Drop your emojis in the chat. Dog Squad officially a member. Longtime chatter. I see you in the chat every show. So yeah, thank you for your support of this channel, of Corey, Saul, and my little brain project here at McKale Madness.
Shameless plug. That's my guy, Joe Camacho, the best dog trainer in the city. Matter of fact, Miles Simon flew him to LA to train his dogs. So he's a diehard Wildcat, and he's personally responsible for the pets of the Wildcats. So Joe Camacho, shout out. Thanks for joining Dog Squad U. You got to check them out. Boy's amazing.
Definitely check out Dog Squad U. I might have to check out Dog Squad U.
You got a crazy dog in your house?
And I got a dog. He's not like a badass little kid, but he could do with a little bit of like, hey, sit, stay. You know what I'm saying? Okay, move. Like he could use a little bit of that. He can do sit, and he's very good behaviorally. But maybe I do need to hit up Mr. Camacho there.
I'll tell you one story. I'm not going to say too many details because it was my wild past. I was at a bar one night. Joe was a bartender. and we were out in the parking lot talking, and there was a stray dog messing around by the garbage cans, and Joe coaxed the dog over to him. Joe, what you doing mess with that wild ass dog? He's gonna bite you, whatever. No, that's fine. The next night I'm at the bar, the dog sitting out in front of the parking lot, just sitting there outside the door. I said, is that the same dog from last night? He go, yeah. I said, you trained that dog? Yeah, it took a couple minutes. That's Joe. Joe's amazing.
That sounds like sorcery. I'm not gonna lie.
That's what I said. What'd you do? This dog was literally feral 24 hours before. Joe, I don't know what he did, but he took care of it.
We got Justin Spears in the chat. From 8 a.m., me doing his live show, to almost 8 p.m., him tuning into McKale Madness. He says, saw one mock draft with Jaden Bradley going 60 to the Warriors. Crazy. And he follows it up with Joe Camacho runs his kennel like the damn Navy. And I can respect that. Shout out to Justin Spears. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Owen Leonard, who wants to know if Joe Camacho could also train my friend Damon Dog. I think that's a different kind of dog. No W, just an O in that one that Camacho is into. But yeah, let's talk Kansas. Corey, let's talk Kansas, because this is the talk of the town right now. Everybody wants to know, can Arizona get revenge against one of the only two teams that have gotten it done against them? And you lose them in the fog on Big Monday. There's a lot going against you. No Darryn Peterson in that one, but you don't get it done. Now they come to McKale, maybe Darryn Peterson. What do you see with this matchup?
I'm going to say a lot of reckless stuff. I'm usually very thoughtful about my words, but I'm just going to be reckless. One, they probably lose that game if Peterson plays against Arizona. Because the ball was going to stick.
Yeah.
He was going to shoot the shots that other people ended up shooting. They're a different team with him on the floor. I don't know that they've chalked. I mean, he's played in some good games and they've beaten some good teams, but they're a different team when he plays. They've got a real problem with him in that locker room and where they're headed, and the power structure with, Bill Self being a great coach, but taking a backseat to a freshman who plays whenever the hell he wants to. That's not a recipe for the big run. I wouldn't put money on Kansas to make a deep run in the tournament because I think their locker room is fractured. They beat the number 2 team in the country without him. So now you got guys feeling themselves like, yo, whether you play or not. I mean, the are you going or not conversation, that is so corrosive to your overall team atmosphere. That's not a conversation. Can you go is the question we asked at Arizona. That's hey man, what's going on with JB? Can he go? Yeah, he can go. Cool. Oh my God, thank God. Because I already know he's gonna go as hard as he can go. Our guys were injured, but are you going? Do you feel like playing? We never ask that question to teammates. If you got to ask your teammate what he feels like, you going in the wrong direction. So they won by 4, and there were several players on Arizona's team that turned in the worst night of their season.
Yeah.
And you won by 4.
Yeah.
You ain't beating Arizona in Tucson. It's not happening. You might as well forget it. I mean, you got to come down and play the game, but there ain't no way y'all winning that game. It's not happening, because there were things that happened at that Kansas game that are never going to happen again for Kansas. And I'm not going to say the win was fool's gold, but I saw what I saw. And Saturday's going to be completely different.
Now we're about to get into what you don't think is going to happen outside of Kansas winning, because you don't think that's going to happen in a second. But I will say, like, on the Darryn Peterson side of things, these are his season averages. Now, he's, in my opinion, probably going to go number 1 overall this year's draft, whether that's right, wrong, indifferent. I think from what I've seen in my time watching draft coverage this year, it feels like everybody is telling them he's going to go number 1 overall. But it's for valid reason, right? Like almost 20 points a game, almost 4 rebounds, an assist and a half. Now he does average 1.7 turnovers. People make a big deal about him averaging more turnovers than assists, but it's a lot of catch and shoot and a lot of ISO ball with Darryn Peterson. I think he has the capability to facilitate, but it's not what he's asked to do with this Kansas team. He shoots 40% from 3 as well. Like, he is a lethal player. But to your point though, Corey, right? Like, him, will he, won't he? I think, like, I don't know if, like, I kind of disagree with you in the sense that it's probably like messing with the locker room. I think that from what I've heard, like, everyone in Kansas loves Darryn Peterson. Mm-hmm. It feels like everyone has a bunch of respect for him. He seems like a quiet, hardworking dude, very contradictory to what social media is trying to push about him. Mm-hmm. But to your point, and what I will concede is that just on a human level, whether you like the dude, don't like the dude, indifferent towards Darryn Peterson being on your basketball team, if you don't know if he's going to play or not as a teammate, I'm sure that does mess with you. We talked about last year with Arizona, knowing or not knowing if Caleb Love was going to go off in a game and how that might affect the production of one Carter Bryant and how he sees his role going into the game. So I could see how it would affect people's mindset. But from what I've heard, everyone in Kansas likes Darryn Peterson. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think there's two things that can be true. Yeah, he's a very likable person. I have to be honest and give a disclaimer. I have no idea if there's some underlying nagging injury that he's trying to manage and play through.
I think there is, Corey.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm reading between the lines, and I can't say that as an analyst for ESPN because I don't have any proof of that. Yeah. But when I look at the situation, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's trying to tough it out through an injury that nobody knows about. And why does nobody know about it? Because it would hurt his draft stock.
Yeah.
So he's doing what he feels like he can do, and it's a bad situation where nobody's really upset with him because the people who are in the know, and they're tolerating it because they know. Give us what you can without jeopardizing your future. That's the key thing. So if that's the situation going on in Kansas, then I understand. But what I can tell you is that when you bring a player on campus and his overall goal is to go pro, he can tell you it's to win the Big 12, win the Big 12 tournament, make a deep tournament run, get to a point. He can tell you all of those things, but we know the big rainbow is him getting to the pros. That's his narrative. That's his agenda. Now, is that the agenda of all the guys at Kansas? Absolutely. They all want to go pro. That's all their dream, but it doesn't stop players from starting to think your dream seems to be a little bit more important than our season.
Okay.
So my problem is this, and this is what I want to tell. This is what American fan bases are struggling with. You've been chasing this girl for weeks or months, right? She finally agrees to meet you for lunch, Kev. And you're like, this is it. I got a chance. She's a baddie. She's an ESPN top 50 recruit. I'm going to lunch.
I'm making some manyan.
Yeah. So you go to lunch with her, and all she talks about is the dude she's going to dinner with later on that night. How you feel picking up the tab for lunch, Kev?
I don't feel like doing it, actually.
What's the conversation at lunch?
Yeah.
You got the reservation at noon till noon to 1:30 to 2, and all she's talking about is dinner later on with her dream date. You know you get to have lunch with her, but you also know she's focused on dinner later on. That's how it is with these guys. The one and doneers, you're having lunch with somebody whose focus is somewhere else. And the fan bases are frustrated because they're starting to think, would you shut up about where you're going to dinner later? We don't care. We're here at lunch. Like, we know there's other stops and other things going on in your life, but damn, can you at least give us a decent conversation? Get us a Final Four? I mean, we picking up the tab with the NIL. We paying for the appetizers and the drinks and all of this.
This ain't Cheesecake Factory, Corey.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? This ain't Cheesecake Factory. What's a good meal here? And we know you just passing through, but can you shut up about your dinner date later on with Brad Pitt? Like, we don't want to hear about that because it doesn't make us feel any better. Oh, man, guess who's in the pros? He played 6 months at our school. Did he win while y'all was there? Nope. Okay, well, why do you care what happened to him after he left? The guys that put in work at Arizona and went on to have great NBA careers, our fan bases enjoyed them as pros because they got to enjoy them as the Wildcats. That formula will never change.
I agree.
It's a different time now. So with Peterson, I don't think it's corrosive. Maybe there's not a locker room issue, but I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of one of his teammates. Like, bro, we just beat Arizona without you. And you up here going sometimes, not going sometimes. I mean, whatever is going on in Kansas is the best kept secret since Who Shot JFK. I don't know what's going on in Kansas because nobody knows, nobody's talking, but we see him make a three, turn to Bill Self and be like, yo, get me up out of here. And we're like, what was that? Nobody's saying.
Unprecedented type stuff, at least in like the video era.
Boy, they running a tight ship in Kansas because nobody can tell you definitively what's going on, at least not anybody on the media side. So,
or at least not until he's out of Lawrence, because I've been of the contingency that like once he gets drafted, the while he was here story is going to drop and it's going to be crazy because
lunch is
over. I don't have any like inside sources. Obviously, I'm just a dude doing a podcast. Right. But from my understanding of what has been going on is like, I think that he's probably dealing with like, it seems to be like a hamstring. And I feel like Jalen Green on the Suns, he pulled his hamstring. He missed the third of the season.
Yep.
So to me, and if you go back and watch his high school tape, Corey, dude's jumping out of the gym.
For sure.
Out of the gym. And it's not just because he's playing against future accountants. It's because he can really bounce. Right. And you watch his lift on his jumper in Kansas, and it's like half the lift.
Yeah.
And now maybe you can make the argument of he's not trying to, blow out nothing and jump too hard. I don't think that's how these cats are built. I think they want to show off what they can do. But I do think Darryn Peterson is, in my opinion, trying to play through something, and it's like messing with his reputation because we've all been there. You tweak a muscle, you pull a bicep, you whatever, and then next time you use it, even if it feels right, you're tentative. And if you feel anything off, you're like, I'm good. So maybe he takes that three and he feels a twinge in his hammy and he's like, I don't want to mess this up.
Right. And without being in the know and knowing that's the scenario, it makes everybody speculate, which I'm guilty of, and it makes everybody frustrated, which Kansas basketball fans and podcasters and beat writers, they're all frustrated. They're not in the know. And I can tell you one other thing. It's a cautionary tale when JT Toppin tears his ACL. This Big 12 player of the year.
Yeah.
This was one of the best big men in the country. This first round draft pick.
Against ASU too.
Tears his ACL. Will not be available to play until this time next year. So rookie season in the league just gone. Did it hurt his draft stock? It breaks my heart to say yes. Of course it does. And you look at the rest of these guys that may be trying to play through minor injuries and they see that and they're like, whoa. And when he went down, I was like, damn, because NIL, okay, that's a huge cushion that didn't exist, 5-10 years ago. He's been making decent money, but the draft is one day and it's that one little window and it's like a bullet in a gun. You got to strike it just right and your career can take off. That's that window. Be healthy and available on the night of the draft. Generational wealth is right on that evening. Everything you've been doing since AAU leads up to that evening in June, I believe. So when JT Toppin tore his ACL, it broke my heart because I knew it was going to change the money he was going to get. Now he can still recover, and after his rookie deal, he can get a max extension and get right back to where he should be. But it's an obstacle that you just don't want to have to think about. So a lot of these guys, they may be trying to just stay healthy until the draft. They may be on minute restrictions. They may be on these deeper understandings with the coaches about, hey, man, this is what it is. I'm going to give you what I can give you. I'm not going to cheat you, but I'm not going to hurt myself. I don't know. I don't know if he's really hurt. I don't know if he has a serious injury. I don't know anything about the Peterson situation. I just know it looks weird.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
We can all agree on that for sure.
Yes, it looks weird.
It's weird as hell. And now that we've got the obligatory Darryn Peterson talk out of the way, we can talk about the basketball that's going to be played, whether he plays or not. And that's Arizona versus Kansas in McKale Center at Alchemy Arena on Saturday, right? And it's going to be a big game. And even though Saul's not here, we're still going to do our ball up top for Arizona versus Kansas. And as you can see, it's at the McKale Center at Redacted, Saturday, February 28th. And now we talked a lot about Jaden Bradley, Corey, and I do want to start with this point guard matchup. I guess we could just start in the backcourt in general, because Jaden Bradley, Melvin Council, they went at it. Two Rochester legends going at it in the last game, and it felt like childhood friend Melvin Council got the better of Jaden Bradley in that matchup. How do you see the backcourt battle going between Arizona and Kansas?
It'll be all Arizona. It'll be all Arizona because the thing about, this thing is Council's list of duties is different than Jaden's. It's totally different. So what does Jaden have to do? Jaden has to run a team, play solid defense, and make sure Arizona's there in the final minutes, and then obviously make plays to get us over the hump. That's not Council's assignment. Council's assignment is to shoot when he's open, try to score, try to create, and, stand back and watch the Peterson show. So he has a totally different job assignment than Bradley. So when you look at him head to head, he outplayed him. Well, they got two different responsibilities. So it's hard. That's the frustrating thing about, he played better than him. Well, they have different jobs. People tend to pull out the stat sheet and see who had the most points and say that's who played better, when realistically Ivan Kharchenkov could say, I made the plays that got us the win. Bradley can say, I made the plays that got us the win. Deli can say, I made the plays that got us the win. But then Toby and Krivas could stand up and say, ain't none of y'all doing nothing if we don't rebound. Y'all shooting the ball that we rebounded. Can you come down here and do what we do? But Arizona's not built that way. Arizona's together, so they just do their thing. So, yeah, I mean, I think Arizona has the advantage on the backcourt for sure.
Now let's move into the wings/front court. You got Ivan Kharchenkov versus Trey White. Tobe Awaka matching up with Flory Badunga. Mo Krivas matching up with Bryson Tiller. And now I don't have Koa Peat in there because we don't know the status of Koa Peat yet. He tried to warm up, I'll say, against Baylor. And from what we've heard from people in the arena, it looked good, right? It looked promising in terms of the motion, range of motion, all that stuff. Obviously, you don't need him to go against Baylor. You'd rather him go against Kansas or Iowa State.
Right.
Whether or not Koa Peat plays in this game, what I want to ask to you, Corey, is what do you think we're going to see defensively from Mo Krivas in this one? A lot was made about Flory Badunga versus Mo Krivas, two guys that are going to be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, right? And I felt in that game, you had Koa Peat in that game, but I felt that dunk on Krivas, right? It's one moment. It's one moment. It does not matter. However, without Koa Peat, and this is a conversation I was having with people on Twitter the other day, without Koa Peat, it feels like teams are having a much easier job of getting Krivas out to the perimeter and forcing him to both get up and then get back to defend the rolling big. And if you have an athletic big like Flory Badunga, it could look like what happened with that dunk, where Krivas is a little late getting back, the lob beats him over the top, and he has his hand up and he gets dunked on. It kind of happened against Baylor. But my question to you, Corey, is what am I seeing there? Like, what are my eyes looking at when Krivas is struggling to get up and get back? And is that at all related to Koa Peat being in the game to help switch or out of the game?
Well, there's no question about it. If Krivas is showing on a ball screen and the big dives, he's not quick enough to stay with the guard. He's not agile enough to move his feet and get a deflection on the lob. So he's literally in no man's land, and good coaches are going to put a 7-footer in no man's land. That's just what they do. A little disappointed on Arizona being connected on the backside, because why aren't the rest of y'all looking at this ball screen roll lob situation and making it turn into a kick for a three? That lob is 99%. That rotation, take away the roll, that three, even wide open, is 40%. So shame on Arizona as a team for letting people roll to the rim unbothered. Like, forget that. You just can't do it. If you give up a three in the corner, why you give up a three? Because the man was rolling for a dunk. I'd rather exchange 95% for 40% in the corner. That's team basketball. Here's the other thing. And I don't know if we were going to do the things that aren't going to happen against Kansas.
Yeah, we can do that right now.
This was huge. But Danga got off because of the way the game was officiated. He should have had 3 fouls in the first 4 minutes of the game. They were hacking the hell out of Krivas, and they wasn't calling nothing. If you lace him with those fouls, he don't get you, what are you, like 20 and 6 or something like that? Badanga's not scoring 20 points Saturday against Arizona. That was a once-in-a-lifetime game he had, and they were finding him on the roll, and everybody was hype. He even jumped up in the air, didn't dribble.
That was crazy.
Traveled and got a dunk. So that 20 and 6 is fool's gold, bro. That's not going to happen Saturday. And Saturday, I guarantee you, when you foul Krivas, they're calling it. They weren't calling it in your building the same way they're not going to call it in our building on Saturday. Every time you touch our guys, it's going to be a foul, just like it was for you guys. That's how referees are. That's how they think. Hey, I'm not going to lace Bill Self's team with multiple fouls early, knowing that Peterson ain't playing, because this shit could get lopsided real fast. That's how they're human. I'm not going to be giving you little cheap ticky-tack fouls here in McKale Center. Do you hear this crowd? Do you hear the vibe? Bro, you better toughen up. That's how they're going to be talking to Kansas. So that 20 and 6 that he got, throw that out the window. That's not happening on Saturday. Well,
you mentioned it, Corey. You mentioned it. I'm going to cue you up. Let's talk about what's not happening in this Arizona versus Kansas game.
Yeah, Krivas getting mugged and not getting calls. That ain't going to happen. That's not going to happen at all. Bill Self going to have a musical chairs with his big men, because him and Tobe are going to be physical, and the referees are going to be with all of that. They're going to be calling everything Arizona's way. I don't think Darryn Peterson is going to dominate. I don't think Darryn Peterson is going to put up 35 in McKale Center. I don't think whoever's on him is going to sit there and let him clown the way that he does. So that's something that I don't think is going to happen. And I don't know what the next point was. Yeah, Badinga getting 23 and 10. No. And here's the last thing. Bradley turned in 2 for 8, and y'all won by 4. That ain't happening Saturday. I'm not saying he's going to go for 25 like he did against Baylor, but he ain't going to be no damn 2 for 8. So y'all have a lot of reasons to be happy about the win, but you have a lot of things that happen that will never happen again in the history of this season. So, take it how you want. I got Arizona by like 8, maybe 10 at home against Kansas. I think the place will be rocking. I think the bigs are going to be allowed to be physical. Arizona won't have the same troubles. And if a gentleman by the name of Koa Peat happens to walk out there to the jump ball, I may go to the movies. Kev, I may not even watch the game.
You're a wild boy, Corey.
Man, I may go
to the wild boy.
I may go to Cold Stone, get me some ice cream, and sneak it into the Cineplex and just enjoy my Saturday.
That's gonna be me next week. That's gonna be me next week.
I got to work Saturday. I'll be doing Santa Barbara at Irvine, so I actually have to work Saturday.
Okay. Yeah. Well, either way, we get the gist. Corey's taking predicting a W, and if Koa Peat plays, predicting an easy, don't kick your feet up W against KU. We're gonna preview it on the AZ Wildcats pod coming up, so I'm not gonna get too deep into predictions here. We were gonna talk a little bit of coach speak, but Corey, we filled the hour already, so let's get out of here with some real hoopers, right? Saul's not here, but real hoopers still deserve to get honored. And now Saul had a little bit of contention with me wanting to bring up a coach in the Real Hoopers segment, but I'll say this much. Real hoopers play for who? A real coach.
There you go.
And Brian Peabody, Corey, and Pima Community College, that's a bunch of real hoopers coached by a real coach. 65-1 over their last 66 games. I'll say it again. 65-1, the one loss coming in a playoff scenario. You're 60-0 in the last 2 regular seasons. That deserves a shout out.
For sure. I mean, what Jay-Z said it best. Men lie, women lie, numbers
do not.
65-1. What you gonna say? I mean, they getting wins, real hoopers, real coach. Shout out over there at Pima, getting it done, man. No complaint.
Now, we're not done talking Pima because we had Tommy Lloyd and Jack Murphy pop out for Jim Roseburow's honoring at Pima Community College. And this is the photos from it. Corey, I will let you take the floor for this part of the Real Hooper segment.
And Jim Roseburrow was so essential to everything that happened in Arizona during the Lute Olson era. He was Lute's right-hand man. He was the coach. He was the good cop to the bad cop. Roz was the one player that over all generations, from Kerr all the way down to the end of the Lute Olson era, 25, 30 years of guys, every guy loved Roz. Like, that's unique. Like, assistants come and go, but Roz had a personality that everybody loved. And I'm going to tell you something that I've never really said publicly. When I talk about the good cop, bad cop, Arizona was the most competitive program situation you could put a young person into next rival military boot camp. Sink or swim.
Like Joe Camacho's dog training company.
Yeah. Surrounded by All-Americans, no mercy, brutal 3-hour practices, and you either sink or swim. And the coach, if you don't make yourself useful, you just sit there on the bench and waste away. And then, this is at a time where it took a year to transfer. You had to sit out a year if you want to transfer. So Roz was the team psychologist, the team shrink. Roz kept Arizona basketball afloat. People want to wonder how Lute Olson was able to stack all these All-Americans back to back to back. How do you have Michael Dickerson, Jason Terry, Miles Simon on the same team, Jim Roseburrow? How do you have Chris Mills, Khalid Reeves, Damon Stoudemire on the same team, Jim Roseburrow? You need somebody that can go up to these guys after practice or after a bad game or after coach chews on their ass in films. You need a coach that can connect and bring out the best and keep all these guys in the same position, keep them all rowing in the same way. That was Jim Roseburrow. Between Jim Roseburrow and, God rest her soul, Bobby Olson, that was the backbone of Arizona basketball. You want to transfer? Bobby and Jim kept you here And they did it by being their authentic selves. They weren't telling you what you wanted to hear. They were really caring about the players. And that's not to say the other coaches didn't care. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Roz was the kind of dude, like, he'll go check class and you won't be in class. Bruh, you're not starting. And that's like 6 a.m. workouts. If he just tells Luke, Corey, where were you today? Damn. I was messing around, man. Now, Corey, you come off the bench, 17 minutes, you had 8 points. You don't mess it up, Corey. I need you to get to class. All right, Raj, you're right. Let me get to class. Raj could blow up my freshman year or my sophomore year, or he could help me. And he always helped everybody. So he was the guy that really was instrumental in, a lot of the success. He's the guy everybody loves. And just to see that he's coaching and doing so well at Pima, I shot him a text and he and I are going to grab lunch after the season. I always look forward to seeing him, but I can't say enough about Jim Rosborough. Great coach. Man,
that was beautiful insight into what it must have been like to play under Lute Olson at that time. Because I think a lot of people like me, right, Corey, I did not grow up watching Lute Olson basketball. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my time at Arizona did not even come close. I barely overlapped with Sean Miller. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, I feel like getting stories like that is really cool. And learning today was a great opportunity for me to learn a lot about what Jim had brought to the program and like just how pivotal he was for Arizona basketball. Today was a great history lesson for me.
He was like your PO, man. You want your stuff to stay state and local. You want your charges to go federal. Like Roz was that dude. If he told on you and your case went federal, it was over. Like and everybody from Miles to Jason Terry to Mike Bibby, they all got stories where Roz came through and saved them, kept their case from going federal. Because Lute, he knew everything, but Roz was the buffer, man. Good dude, real good dude.
Now, before we get out of here, I got one more real Hooper note to bring up. And this is an impromptu Hooper note that was brought to my attention by one Corey's jersey. Ernesto in the chat says, we would be remiss to not mention that Hawks jersey, by the way. Got to be Dominique, right? Maybe Kevin Willis. Whatever it is smooth.
Appreciate that. Yeah, you got to go with Dominique Wilkins. I try to tell these young fellas, like, we're all in love with the NBA guys of our youth. That's the one thing about all NBA fans. So if they're 70, they're talking about the NBA guys of their youth. And everybody talking, but Neek, for me, transcended. I mean, come on, man. Just the human highlight reel, dunking on centers, he was doing dunk contest dunks during games. He was unbelievable, inspiring. And I always tell guys, every hooper has a player who inspired them to hoop. And that's usually who they fell in love with in terms of their basketball. Who, if you ask them who the GOAT is, they'll tell you it's the guy that they watched that inspired them to become a hooper. Neek was one of those special players. Now, I was a Jordan guy, but if it wasn't going to be Jordan with a nice dunk, everybody knew it was going to be Dominique Wilkins. And he got robbed because the dunk contest was in Chicago. He beat Jordan, and they gave it to Jordan anyway. And that hurts me to say as a Jordan guy, but it's the truth. Go on YouTube, watch the dunk contest. I don't know the year, but it was in Chicago. Dominique Wilkins absolutely beat Michael Jordan, but you're not going to beat Jordan at the United Center, so it is what it is.
That was over before it started. Now, one thing you said to me, Corey, you put me on to some game, and this is why we're mentioning this in the Real Hooper segment. You said, well, really, all that was beautiful, what you said, Corey, but none of it matters, to be honest with you. What made Dominique Wilkins a real hooper was he was playing in these. I told Corey before the show that I once, at one point, had an arch in my foot, and just looking at these, my gait has changed, and my foot is now flat.
Bruh, you out there dunking on Patrick Ewing in some plastic sandals with laces on. That's what you're wearing. Some flip-flops with laces in them. And, these guys have every advantage now, and I'm not mad that sports science and equipment has improved, but you got to shout out anybody playing in a pair of Brooks. Like, come on, man. It was insane. True athleticism, Dominique Wilkins. I'm pretty sure he got to be like almost 65, 70. He probably still can dunk now. Who knows? But, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the last thing to go is, but verticality might be one of the first things to go. I'm not going to lie to you, Corey. But
tendons and Achilles, maybe.
But today we had no Saul. just like Arizona had no Koa Peat, and we made it work. You could argue we got 3 straight dubs on this podcast today. Corey and I did. It has been a pleasure sharing the screen with one Corey Williams for an hour and plus of your time. If you have not already left a like on today's show, please do that. Leave a like. It helps a ton. Please subscribe. Become a member like Joe Camacho did during today's stream as well. He is Corey Williams, the one, the only. You can catch him calling games on ESPN. You can also catch him on social media at College Corey. That's an EY at the end of that. You can catch me usually behind the computer on this podcast, producing it while Saul hosts it, but he wanted to host a show on a cruise. I don't know what he's doing, but you can find me Monday through Friday, pregame, postgame on the AZ Wildcats podcast. I am at KevoPosts. My co-host, usually, he is at Damon Dog, DAWG. You can follow us at McKale Madness and at the AZ Wildcats pod at @PHNX_Wildcats on all your social media. Corey, what do you got before we get out of here?
Kev, you came on our show. Now I got to come on yours, man. So, let me know. I'm ready.
Ain't nothing but a thing, Corey. Ain't nothing but a thing. I will be hitting you up very soon just about that exact thing. Like I said, leave a like. It's totally free. We did our job. You do your job. And until next time, what does Saul usually say? Like, leave a like and peace.
There it is.
We all silly like the mayor.